Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Gunpowder and Freedom. So, past our plumbing inspection, obviously this is the underground plumbing in the basement. You have to get it inspected to make sure there's no leaks, holds a certain amount of pressure, and then everything's falling downhill enough to take the waste away from your house, but not too fast where the water dissipates and it leaves the waste in the pipe. So, we passed it, we're good to start grading. Josh is here to help me. We're going to go ahead and get some limestone in on top of these pipes, and then we'll flatten off all of the overdig, get it up to, this time on our grade, we want to be 2 inches below our footer height there because we're doing a radiant floor heat system. So that foam, I should double check this before we start. The foam, the gravel needs to stop 2 inches below that footer. So then the foam goes, the plastic, then the foam goes on top, and now we have 4 inches of concrete all through the basement floor. So without further ado, enjoy the time lapse. All right, everybody, so once again, my time-lapse camera died. I know it was recording a little bit, the final grading area over here, but I'm not really sure when it cut out. But what we ended up doing was, and we have to do this on a lot of basements, just most of the time we have to shovel this ramp out, but because we built this ramp to get the machines in and out, obviously we are going to be extremely high all through this area. So back the skid loader out, put the 3-foot grading bucket on the 301, brought that in, pulled everything back, put a couple skid loader buckets of stone in here, pushed it around, flattened it out, and then fine-tuned it with my rake and my Lasgu laser. If you guys are interested in one of those laser levels, you can find that link in the description along with the discount code. Check it out. They're, man, are they helpful, especially if you're doing this kind of stuff by yourself. And then even with somebody else, like Josh was helping me through this whole floor. For the most part, you know, he was able to rake a little bit, check it. Those laser levels are awesome. But I was kind of working on my final grading, and then I realized I forgot to put my insulation board up against that wall where we have that sewer pipe running at us. So we had to dig all that back out, put that in, fill it back in. But either way, all through here, we are about 6.5 to 7 inches thick, top of concrete to top of grade, and that is because I double checked that foam board for the radiant floor heat system, and it is actually 3 inches, not 2 inches. So we had to compensate for 3 inches of foam, not 2. That's why we went to that depth. Once we get that foam board in, the piping sits down in. You guys will see this tomorrow whenever we're putting this in. When we're putting that piping in, it actually sits down into the foam board, so we'll have about 3.5 to 4 inches of concrete on top of the foam, with that piping being an extra 1/2 inch down. So the piping's going to be protected, but we maintain our thickness for concrete. I mean, that's going to do it for right now. We're having a camp out over here in our camper, first one of the year, so pretty psyched about that. So we're going to go home, get cleaned up, get some stuff, come back, and have a nice family evening over here. So I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning for that radiant floor heat system. Good morning, everybody. So Saturday morning, Josh and I got this whole area graded yesterday. My dad's on his way over now to help me finalize everything. He's bringing the tamper with him. So we'll go ahead, we'll tamp this whole area, get all this stone nice and compacted. And then from there, we're gonna get the plastic in, get that foam board down, and I will show you how that radiant floor heat system works. So enjoy the time lapse. All right, so while my dad's tamping, I figured I would just take a minute and show you guys one of the benefits of doing this Thermo supply system, sorry. Whenever they send you all the materials, they also send you a copy of your prints with the layout done. Now, I know it's hard to see on the camera, but there's actually different colors for each run. So you know the blue lines are all one run, the green lines are all another run, the red lines, and so on. It shows you exactly how to lay them out so you maximize the amount of PEX tubing that you're using and you don't waste any. So once he's done tamping and we get the plastic spread, I'll go ahead and show you the system that tubing interlocks in. Okay, our first moisture barrier is laid down, vapor barrier, whatever you want to call it. Now I know that the foam in itself is going to act as a vapor barrier, but I figured I have the plastic here, it's already paid for, might as well use it up. So we got that down. I padded these footers up 2 inches to help with that transition of the foam for the PEX tubing to run across. This one and this one. This one was a little bit higher, so not able to do anything on that. Did I put that in? I might have. Does it need spun or something? I think it might need spun. But yeah, so. Foam at? Let's go. You don't got me from here. All right. Jeez, he's always yelling at me. All right, so here is the start of the Thermo Supply insulation board system. Now, like I said, during the grading process, we had to hold the top of final grade down 3 inches. That is the difference, that is the thickness from bottom of foam to top of these little channels. So now that lines up perfect with top of footer. And what that does is it keeps the concrete all nice and level, no hard ledges, no hard lips that are gonna create a weak spot and cracking. And they're actually set up in a basically tongue and groove system where one side has this channel on it, I guess 2 sides, and the other side has the negative of that. So you take it, you just lock it in like that, give it a little pat to lock it in, and there it is. Unlike the conventional glue board system where you have to lay it down, you're supposed to tape your seams, everything like that. This goes a lot faster, and then you just run your PEX tubing in these channels, and we'll show you that here in a little bit. And all the full pieces in, then we'll go around with the getting the cuts in right like that. That easy. That easy. So per the plans, the edge of the manifold starts approximately 4 feet in from this wall here. And I'm saying that because this is actually drawn to scale. A ½ an inch equals 1 foot. So they have the first run running down this wall, which we're not going to do because we have our footer there, so everything will get slid this way a foot. So basically, if we come over ½ an inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inches, 2 inches, that's 4 feet. Yeah, so edge of manifold's 4 feet in from the wall, but like I said, we're going to shift everything over a foot. That means 5 feet, start a manifold, that'll start to run. So a little bit of a learning curve on getting this in, but all in all, it's pretty quick. Roll out a section, you just walk it right in, and those little channels hold that pipe nice and firm.
Just give it a little wiggle right around the foam, and it takes you all the way to the bottom. If you just push it straight down, you'll break the little chunks of styrofoam off. So I just found that that's working real nice, and it's quite fast. Hey, whenever I did my floor 25 years ago, we put blue board on, and we had these little thumb screws that twisted into the concrete, and you clip it in. My fingers were bleeding. I had Steven doing for when you were 6 years old.
That sounds about right.
You should have heard him crying.
Yeah, I don't know, you might have gotten me confused with the other son. Back to it.
Always gotta throw those little digs in, right?
Yep.
Okay, this is for the viewers as well as Steven. We're making video of this so that he knows where his zones are. This will be zone 1. And we know the hot runs down the perimeter, goes into the grid, and then back to the manifold. So you send your hot water down first, which would be labeled 1A. And then the return comes back to the manifold, we labeled 1B. So we know all the B's go into the cold side, returning to the manifold, and the red is the A, hot, heating the floor. Just a way to keep that all in check. Makes it a little bit more efficient. If you have a storage area down here, you don't need heated as much as the living space. You can turn that manifold down a little bit and only keep the utility room slightly warm and send most of your energy out into your living area. That way you have it all logged, and 5 years down the road, it's not like my house. I didn't do any of that. I just ran tubing. Oh, I got a little bit extra, I'll fit it in. So I like the layout. I think Steve had a company do the layout for him, is that correct?
Yeah, Thermo supplied the company that supplied all the material they need to lay out.
Nice. So mine's fine, but I have no idea. Like, I would have to go around with the thermometer gun and turn a zone down, wait a day, see, you know, and I don't need to do that. So my whole basement gets heated up when we use the floor. All right, I'm gonna stop rambling and help out.
All right, so we got this 1/2-inch blue board down on top of our pier pads, and as you can see, I took these little plastic clips that have nails in them, tacked them down into that foam. Now, I just want to point out that those clips are not for like a permanent use for that foam. They don't really hold that great. So like if you have insulation, that insulation board on a wall, and you're running PEX tubing on that, you're probably going to need something a little bit better than those clips. Like especially if they're hanging on a wall, you're not covering them with anything. I'm putting them there just to help stabilize those lines as we're pouring, and specifically these lines that are running straight into the post where I have them bent out and around. I really want to try to make sure we pay attention to those. Those clips are just, like I said, adding support to keep these tubes away from these fletching plates. If they shift over and hit that, there's a chance that it might crack these lines or puncture them. So we want to try to just watch that, be careful, just a little bit of added insurance there. But I needed my tripod for the laser. Got my heights laid out for my manifold for the water system. I have little blocks cut that I'm going to tap gun onto the wall so I can screw the manifold onto the blocks, and that'll give me some buffer room between the back of these valves and that wall. So, you know, I'm still trying to figure out how this all goes together. I think I've got it, but you know, there's a chance I'm probably wrong. I could be wrong. So having that 1.5-inch buffer there gives me some flexibility where I can take these valves off and adjust them, switch them around if need be. So we're gonna go ahead, get our Tapcon gun set up right there, get those screws, get those blocks screwed onto the wall, and just try to keep pressing forward. All right, everybody, so we have all of our PEX tubing run through our 90 sweeps. They come up here to the manifold that we screwed on to those blocks of wood. I'm trying to do my best with labeling everything. So as I'm hooking these tubes up, I do have to cut them to fit. So I'm labeling them 1A, 1B, you know, because obviously whenever I cut them, I'm losing my initial label. I wrote on the wall, and again, utility room, the A is the supply. So hot water comes in, goes through the floor, it returns colder than what it was, goes back into the boiler. So B is going to be our return. And then on top of the blocking, I labeled them zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, so on and so forth. But one thing, if you're doing this for the first time, with this tubing system, I'm not sure if all radiant floor systems are like this, but basically to hook this manifold up, you need these fittings. You have your nut, you have your insert, whatever. I'm not actually, I don't know what the terminology is, and then you have a brass collar. You put your nut on first, then your brass collar, and then you slip that little nipple in like that. I have it all cut to length, so then I just kind of snug this up into there like so. Tighten that collar up, slide the locking nut up, and tighten that down. You don't want to crank it down, but you want it nice and snug. I let those rubber grommets kind of do their thing and seal that all up. So I'm going to tighten that down with my pipe wrench, and then we'll label this 2A and 2B. So that's how that is done. All right, everybody, so there is the final product. All of my lines are running hooked up. Everything's nice and snug. I have my pressure test gauge hooked on right there. Here's the little air valve. I need to go commandeer my generator from the camper to come down here and get some power to my air compressor. But basically, like I said, everything's all nice and snug. Everything's labeled 1 through 6B, 1 through 6A. I left myself a little bit of slack on these lines, not too much, but I'm debating on if I want to do something extra where I cut all of these lines after the pour, and on the hot return, or I'm sorry, the hot supply, put red PEX piping, and on the cold returns, put blue PEX piping. It's pretty simple to do. You just need a connector, a couple crush washers, whatever you want to call them, and that way they're just a little bit more easy to identify which one's which. Not that, you know, the red and the blue on top are that hard to see, but you know, just something else you can do. So if I decide to do that, I'll take care of that little bit of excess slack on specifically 1A, but you know, if not, I don't know, we'll cross that bridge. We got a mountain of stuff to do, but basically that's going to be it for right now. If you guys are interested and you're in the Western Pennsylvania, Ohio, Eastern Ohio region, and you are interested in getting quoted on this floor system, you can check out their website, Thermo Supply. Give them a call. They'll get you set up with the price. Their price is very, very affordable. If you're already considering doing radiant floor heat and you're looking at doing it the conventional way, which we've talked about a couple times now, plastic, blue board, and wire, I mean, the time you're going to save using this system is huge. So, you know, the floor drains are set. Sorry, I didn't show you guys that. There's the floor drain there. There's the floor drain there. Everything's connected. Yeah, and one thing we did extra right here, this 3-inch pipe coming up out of my Forma drain, that's our pipe for our radon. So once we're doing framing and everything else, we can run that pipe up, 90 it over, and run it out of the house and attach a radon vent. I've actually gotten that question a few times, but I mean, I'm psyched. Floor heat is always awesome. It's a great way to heat your basement, first floor of your house. It's awesome. It's a nice, comfortable heat too. It's not super overwhelming. It's just a really nice, easy system that if you're building a new house, you know, the upfront cost, full disclosure, I think I paid a little over $4,000 for this. But like I said, we were gonna do it either way. That was gonna be about the cost of doing it the other way, just a lot more time consuming. And in 5 or 10 years, I'm not really gonna think about that $4 grand, because in hindsight of how big this project is, that's kind of minuscule. Once you kind of, and I'm not saying that in a braggy sort of way, I'm just simply trying to inform you guys that if you're considering doing it, do it, because in 5 or 10 years, you really probably won't even think of the cost. You'll just think how nice it is to have it. So I really hope that didn't come across as me bragging. I apologize if it did. That wasn't the intent. But yeah, I mean, that's gonna do it. Big thank you to my dad for showing up yesterday and helping me out with laying the insulation board. Big thank you to Josh for showing up on, I think that was Friday, helping me with the grading and raking everything. That was Dad, Josh, thank you guys a ton. That was a big help. And then thank you to Rachel for taking care of the kids all weekend so that I could be here doing this and getting ready for our pour tomorrow morning. So I want to thank you guys for tuning back in to another episode of Gunpowder and Freedom. If you liked what you saw, please click the like and subscribe. Don't forget to like us on Instagram, and don't forget to check out the description for some product links. I appreciate the support that you guys are always giving me, and yeah, it's very, very overwhelming the amount of views that these videos have been getting and the increase in that. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart, but I appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.